Board of Select Persons, of the Town of Belgrade. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so everyone's here, so we established our quorum. As we open the meeting, we always take a time for public comment, so this is if there's anyone here that would like to make a comment on something that's not on the agenda.
Take a motion.
I would move we open the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay. So if you have a public comment, if you would identify yourselves. And we usually allow, 3 to 4 minutes for you to speak. We don't take any action on those items. They're just referred on and something would be done at a later meeting as it's deemed appropriate. So is there anyone that has public comment? Steve?
Yeah, hi Carol, Steve Rogers. So this is about the parking lot, which we tried to talk about before. Very supportive of it. We'll get a lot of questions, so I was wondering if we could meet with the Friends of Belgrade, to discuss something. So I was noticing it said see Carol Johnson on there, so.
Well, that's when you see Carol Johnson with her Friends hat on, not her
Okay.
Select Board hat on.
Right.
But certainly the Friends would be more than willing to meet with you.
Yeah.
I think, Diane, you're on the committee,
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, so maybe next time you meet, we could be included
Yeah,
in that.
or we'll,
Great.
yeah,
Maybe we can help out.
or way we can catch in between.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay. Next item is agenda, the review and approve the minutes. I move we approve the minutes. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes?
I'll second that.
Okay. I do know there is on the last page, we didn't have the times that we went into executive or left executive session. We left the executive session at 10:07 and we adjourned the meeting at 10:08. And that was my error. I went flipping away to Florida and didn't take my notes with me to get to Florida. So I apologize for that.
So with those minor edits, I had nothing else to add to the
Yeah.
minutes.
I would say as amended, we need to amend those. Can I have a motion to approve the amendment? Or I'll move that.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And then I move that we approve the amended minutes.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so that is the 5 of us. 5 in favor. The next item, or I move that we open unfinished business.
Second.
Seconded by Barbara, and our first item on unfinished business is waste management. And Kenny, are you up?
Oh. Yeah, no, pizza.
Pizza,
You guys had questions for Pete.
right. So Peter, would you introduce yourself to the group here and?
Sure. Pete Washington, I'm with Waste Management. I'm the public sector representative. I handle the whole state of Maine and a section of New Hampshire. On the road quite a bit, but I'm glad, like you said, that it's tonight and not Thursday night, because I would have been on TV and not up here. But I'm here. I met with Kenny and Lorna and forget Mary, were you here that day? Okay, I thought so. Went over what Waste Management wants to do as far as an extension. When we sole source negotiate, I'm gonna give you my best pricing. And hey, listen, right? And I know Laura knows, and I mentioned it to Madam Chair and Penny knows. I am a former Rochester City Councilor. I spent 20 years And it feels so darn good to be off it. My last meeting was this past December, and I have a lot of free nights now, and I love it. So I sit in your shoes, or did, and understand if you wanna go out to bid, I get it, right? And we'll bid on it too, but the pricing that I'm offering today, that's off the table, and probably gonna be more market rates than what I'm offering today.
So, Pete, the issue with that is that the town of Belgrade has a policy that anything over the $15,000 has to go out to bid.
Right, and the last agreement that we signed, and, can't remember the state rep to
We
the,
stated that there could be an extension if both parties agree.
both parties agree. Yeah.
So that is still on the table, so I think that part of this is that it's a big jump. It's a 2% increase, and then we take that base, and then there's 5% on that, and then 5% on top of that, so,
right,
you know,
It's a
you can have
huge-
$100 a ton increase over the next couple of years.
it is a huge increase, and market rates, I don't know if you saw that sheet that I left Kenny and Lorna of other communities around. Even my proposed new per ton rate is substantially less than what other communities are paying. I think the average out of was 20 or so communities, 25 was for MSW was 88 a ton. They're about $13 per ton less.
I don't know that we saw that.
I don't have them.
Can you have
I
it
don't have it.
anywhere?
No.
I have one copy,
Do
I
you
think,
mind if I?
No,
copy it?
please.
So while we're doing that, anyone have any other comments or questions for Pete?
No, this is the heart of the matter for me. Just want to understand about the percentage increase and what it means, because as you know, taxpayers will ask questions.
Of course they're going to. I would, and now I probably will when I go back and maybe participate in some of my workshop meetings. But backing up 2020, COVID threw one heck of a monkey wrench into everything. Look at the town's costs. Have they stayed the same since 2020? No, everything's gone up, electric, everything. Ours did too. And I was tasked early on to go to all of my communities and plead for more money based on market conditions, because neither the town nor Waste Management could have anticipated what happened with COVID. But I never approached Belgrade for an increase. I think, well, back then, we still had 3 years or 4 years left, and I never touched it. And I was actually surprised at the rates that you have in front of you that I got approved. But
So Peter, I've got a question for you.
I don't know if they're at the stand or sit or.
You can see this time. What aspects
Share.
of your costs would you say have gone up the most? And were any of those things, really surprises for you? Because we know that things like fuel costs have gone up, costs for certain goods have gone up, staff costs have gone up. Outside of those things, though, were there some big surprises that you couldn't have forecast?
No, I mean, there's obviously the Waste Management's divided into 2 separate companies, right? You see all our green trucks going around. That's who I work for, is what we call the hauling company. Every time one of my trucks goes across our landfill, our scale, it's a P&L thing. We take money out of one pocket and pay the landfill to dump. So it's a corporate decision. That's how they run it, and 2 separate P&Ls. But you hit the nail on the head. It's labor went up drastically. And to keep what we had to substantially increase, and trying to get new labor, not so much on what you have here in town as a roll-off vehicle that picks up those big cans on the back of the truck. We find more difficulty hiring curbside, which you don't have here. You might have, small pockets of it, but a driver and a laborer on the back, up and down on the truck all day, no one wants to do it. I can't pay him enough to do it. Think about it. I couldn't do it at my age. I wouldn't want to. That's why it's a big push in the industry, not just with Waste Management, to go automated for a curbside collection, but that's a whole nother animal. But labor costs, shortages in parts, waiting and stuff. It takes us now 2 years. I don't know the last time the town ordered a fire truck, but you're not gonna go and say, I'm gonna take that red one. You're lucky to get a build slot in a year, and then it's gonna take another year for it to be built. So, but there was really no surprises. It was just a combination of everything. On top of that, CDL drivers, once COVID hit, about 40,000 CDL drivers lost their job because they couldn't pass the drug screen. And so that trying to find CDL drivers was difficult. That was kind of a surprise. If you think about it, you have what we call last mile drivers, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, they don't need a CDL. It's the bigger trucks that need it, and those employees are very hard to come by today. I don't even have a CDL. They don't want me behind a big truck. It should be a mess.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
This sheet that you handed out, are these
Yes, sir.
what the current rates are for these towns?
Yeah, there's one or two in there that is like a month or two away from their annual increase, but they're within a month or two. There's a huge capacity, specifically in the Northeast. That's what's driving on that sheet that you see some of these rates. It's across the country, but more this way, we have a landfill in Norridge that's permitted until 2035 timeframe. We have other land that's adjacent to us that I know up above is looking. I'm sure there's already talked. We have another landfill, we have 237 of them across the country. But in my hometown in Rochester, we call it my sister landfills. The one in Rochester is a little bit bigger, and we're permitted there until 2035. But when these sites close, and I'm not sure if anyone here is following what's going on with the MRC up in Camden, that fiber right deal. You guys are on blank look, so no, they're looking at. They're in the headlights there. I hope it pans out. They're looking at some new technology. They had a company come in, they went belly up. They approached us to take that site over, and we're like, no, it's not proven technology at that scale. So we didn't want anything to do with it, but I really do, this new, whoever it is going in, I forget the name, it's some limited partnership. I hope it comes to fruition, because we're gonna be in a world of hurt, folks, when Norwich Walk closes, Rochester closes. And people say, well, I can bring it to Eco Maine. Yeah, a little further away, but they're at or near capacity. What you're looking at is long haul or railing it somewhere. And I had a customer a few months back say, well, you know what, I can send it to, what do you say, Virginia for 32 bucks a ton. I go, yes, you can, but you gotta get it there. Any savings in tonnage that you're gonna receive is gonna be eaten for the transportation down there. You're looking at either long haul or rail, and it's gonna be really expensive. So that's why I hope the state gets involved both here in Maine and New Hampshire, that something needs to give. And think about it, if Waste Management wanted to buy 20,000 acres here in town and went to town warrant, show of hands, who would vote for it? To have a landfill there? No one would, right? No one wants it in their backyard. But what do we do with it? We need to be responsible in what we do. I mean, I'm proud of the company. Yeah, I joke, I tell people I talk trash all day, but I take it very seriously. We have a double line landfill. We capture the methane. We're producing electricity, selling that back to the grid. We capture our leachate, process that, and then ship that out. So it's not just like the old, every town had their own landfill, and you kind of dug and threw and just hope for the best.
Oh, yeah, we have.
We did
Yes,
that.
yeah. Those days are, yeah. And
Yeah.
Ken, you might know, but there's not many left in the state of that are operational right now, city or municipal owned. Once they do fill and they're closed, that's it. And like I said, no community is gonna want this, even incinerated, they probably bark at that as well. And that's another argument, because you burn it, know,
this
this-
stuff goes into the air.
well, that goes into the air, right? But there's pros and cons to both. Or if you burn it, less trash, right? But that ash potentially is more toxic after you burn it because of all the metals. So there's pros and cons to both. We used to own incinerators and we sold that leg of our business 2015-ish, somewhere in there.
Was it just the metals too? Cause I know like with Girl Scouts, we used to make fire starters out of dryer brush, and probably 15 years ago. I stopped doing that because of the plastics in the face.
Yeah. Right, there's different plastics, and each plastic, I mean, go to the grocery store, you're gonna see so many different type of plastics, packaging and stuff, and I've been in the industry now 23 years, and I'm getting confused. And each piece of plastic has its own unique chemical composition. And I always tell, and I'm going off on a tangent, but I always tell people on the plastic stuff, look for the neck. Anything with a neck is gonna be your number one or your number two. Those are recycle all day. Am I right?
That's what we do,
Yeah,
yeah.
number one or number two. Look for the neck. Water bottle, soda bottle, detergent bottle, all have a neck. And that's what you want. That's good. Paper, cardboard, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
All good, all good.
You don't say.
Like I said, I love talking trash, so
Yeah.
there might be a little city council still in me, so.
No,
So what is the pleasure of the board? Are we at a point, if we choose to, we can approve the contract?
yes, because we do have a stipulation in the current contract that states if they agree and we agree that we can extend for 5 years.
So
It's
does
very
any,
important to know that. Thank you.
So there's, we do have the previous
Yeah.
contract in here.
Right, it is here.
Yes, that's what we always want to look at.
That's true.
And is that same clause in the new
In this
contract?
current one, yeah. It is in the current, the new one also.
It's in the new one
It is
also,
in the
so
new
we could,
also.
so we could renew it every five, keep renewing it every 5 years.
I put that in there with all, it's gonna be a mutual consent on both parties, because you may want to at that point, and we're gonna be like, no, you know, we'll do it, but our costs just escalate even more.
Yeah.
And, or vice versa, but no, we don't wanna do it now, there's a new player in town, they built a landfill in Sydney, and it's closer, we're gonna, whatever. I'm being
Yeah.
facetious, but
Well, I think my only hesitation, Pete, and what I talked to you was, I think part of it was if you put this out to bid, we're not gonna give you the same price. So that I do love. I like to feel like the long-term relationship that we've had with you would buy us some goodwill. And if you presented out up front, that would be the same cost if we were to go up to bid.
And I, unfortunately, I can't, right? That's business, right? When I'm sitting with you and I'm sole sourcing just with the town alone, I do it with all my municipalities. I'm gonna give you my best price. And I get it, and I let people know, look, I sat in your shoes. You know, go out the bid, but you're gonna get a taste of what real market rates are.
Mhm.
And it is what it is. I mean, I have a job to do. I have a fiduciary responsibility for my company.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, I sell airspace, right, in a landfill. So, and it's a commodity right now because it's filling that fast. That's why everyone recycles, because we don't want that stuff in the landfill.
That's right.
I've been over there, Rochester one. It ain't just a little bit bigger. It's a lot.
It's a lot bigger.
I was over there working on the fire systems on those machines over there, so.
That's funny. How long ago?
Oh, probably a year or so ago. The company I worked for, I sold my company to, had the contract.
I was there.
American Loggers.
Okay, yeah.
Kenny, are you comfortable with where this is at as far as
Well, absolutely.
pricing and competitive?
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't find anything better.
Kenny, how did we
Just-
do with preparing the budget for a potential increase this year?
We're fine for this year, just going forward, we're gonna have to adjust.
So there's enough there
Yeah,
to cover the other
Yeah.
10%.
yeah, because the increases will start July 1. So we're ready, halfway through the year.
Then next year, have particular to be prepared for the future increases that
Right,
are
correct.
slightly
That are there.
larger than
Yes.
would have been expected. I think it's a necessary evil, quite frankly, to spend the money.
All
I
right,
think
so
it
I make the motion that we re-up the contract with Waste Management for our hauling services and disposal for a 5-year contract beginning on July 1st, 2024, extending to June 30th, 2029. Wait, that seems far, doesn't it?
Is there a second?
I second that.
You'll second the motion? Any more discussion? All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so. It was worth the trip.
Thank you. Now, I'm not sure the procedure here. I believe I put on, the chair can typically sign it, but I believe on the contract I had the town manager sign it, 'cause I believe the last one was signed by the town manager.
Yeah.
But if it's not right, let me know, Lauren, I'll chip another one out.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. if I'm-
Safe
Okay.
travels back.
yep, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, I move we open the discussion of the fire and rescue engineering proposal interview results.
Second,
Who's on? Dan?
or I can do it.
Are you?
both of you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so we interviewed 3 companies. You guys get the scoring charts in your
Yeah.
packets. And we voted and with the score, we came up with a decision going with our recommendation would be to go with Sheridan Corporation.
I was at the meeting, so I don't have questions, but does the rest of the board have questions for the fire department or fire and
The
rescue?
only question I've got is because I shared in the company, we had all the problems with that built the community center that's was never designed right or built.
So, yes, that is a bill that Sheridan subbed out because it's not a steel Butler building.
Okay.
So we are recommending going with a steel Butler building, the wet would be done by Sheridan themselves. They'll still have subs involved in it, but it won't be.
Center was built all out of wood.
Yeah,
Right, I just don't want to go to the same problems.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to have those same problems.
No.
I don't know, I wasn't part of that, I don't know if they built what it was designed either, so that could be.
Well, I think it was designed and then we backed out on the design and we requested different materials to keep the overall cost of that building.
We got cut and cut
And
and
we've
cut.
been fighting it ever since.
We contract with local subcontractors, so people from town actually.
But I think a lot of it is material, I mean, there's some wasted space, and I'm hoping we don't go through, we have a lot of knowledge on the committee, I think it'll be hopefully a little bit better.
So we have controls in this one to fewer changes on requirements, Dan, and do you think, I mean, 'cause
Well,
it sounds
it's
like
gonna
you
be a
guys know
design
what you
build,
want.
right, with them, we're gonna be involved with the whole process. You know, they're
Yeah.
gonna sit with us, they're gonna go over what we're looking for, design the building and price the building, they're gonna do part of it, there'll be subs for electrical, plumbing. Groundwork, stuff like that. Right now, I mean, I'm working with them on a new building at Hammond's at the planer, and that's all shared. And they've done a good job there. So that's our Butler building, which we want to dress it up, not make it look like a warehouse. So that's gonna be in discussion with the interview, where they said, yes, we can do, they showed us all different types of pictures of stuff they've done. And did they do Greenville? Yeah. Greenville was one of those, so they had a bunch on the area, they've done a few fire stations and stuff.
Cottondale.
All in all, as a package, when they came in, they were very informative. We had one that kind of was like a cookie cutter, and then they just threw a letter in there, you know, they spent some time on it, they gave us a schedule, they're the only one who gave us a schedule of our timeline, you know, and that we could get it done.
Yeah, I appreciate having the meeting minutes from that because I've been able to kind of follow and I was like, okay, so. Because of course, in my brain, my first thing is gonna be the lowest cost one that we've used previously, but then reading the committee notes, I was like, oh, okay, I see why. Well, we may not go that route because of these.
We feel it'd just be more hands-on for us with them and the design build aspect of it.
So Dan, they have a project manager for this,
Yeah, we'll be assigned a project.
Yeah.
and you trust this person?
We don't know what it is yet. The guy who's doing the, one at Hammond's, he's retiring, but there's others.
Sure.
The guys, well, I know the people we talked to are, I mean, there's like, what, 4, 5?
Five of them.
5 of them. I mean, they're gonna be involved in the pricing and design and all that, and then there'll be a super on the job.
Yeah, I only ask that because sometimes, projects can feel like you're herding cats. Right, so so having a good project manager to stay on task.
Yeah.
When I say cats, it's not you, it would be subcontractors who might be chasing to get something done.
And I've known Sean Sheridan for a while, I worked for him, way back, and then I've also done jobs for him, and they're very, they like to get stuff done. They try to we'll go by their schedule and get everything done.
They hammer, they get
They wanna they wanna stay on schedule.
Anyone else have any other questions?
So your confidence level is really high with these guys?
Yes. I think so.
Great.
Okay. I
Bruce said-
move we,
Bruce said-
oh, go ahead.
Bruce said he'd take responsibility.
I got a committee at home back.
Okay, I move we approve Sheridan for the engineering, architectural design and environmental permitting services for the new fire station.
Second that.
All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so 5 votes for it.
Thank you.
Let's rock and roll. Okay. Okay, the next item this evening, I move we open, discussion on warrant articles for June, the ordinances,
I'll second that.
okay? So, Lorna, do you wanna sort of walk us through here?
So you know that you have the 2 ordinances that you've already reviewed. We sent those to legal counsel. Bill did suggest some changes just to bring them up to date. The planning board, if they meet tomorrow night, will go over those changes. And a final will come to you before your April 16 meeting, because you will hold a public hearing at the April 16 meeting. The Dalton properties I know has kind of been on the back burner. You felt after town meeting maybe to put that back in front of the board to kind of decide what to do with that. If you wanted to get something on the June ballot, you would need to act fairly quickly. So you could either wait until November, or we do voting then, or I suspect, we'll have the building committee come and ask the board for a special town meeting to get funding approved for the fire station between, June and November.
Yeah.
So you could do the Dalton, warrant article at that time instead. So it would be before the November voting cycle, gives time to review that information or put more information.
I guess the first thing, do we need to vote on these ordinances tonight, or do we wait till the 16th?
I would go ahead and then vote and approve those. warrant
first
articles.
2.
Yep, Mary pulled the information for
Okay.
when they were last amended, so those are the correct dates, so you can actually approve those first 2 warrant articles.
Yeah, so my feeling, on the Dalton property,
Planning board is gonna approve them on Thursday if they can meet.
Right, but you're only approving the warrant article, you're not approving the final or
the final
ordinances.
ordinance.
Correct.
So, I mean, my feeling on the Dalton property, I've looked at this and I think it needs, the detail needs to be drilled down a little more so that we look at number 8 as an entity, we look at number 10. The cost of this for the entire property is sort of showing as one piece. And that we look at those, put together, income and expenses and what we think is going to happen, and it's gonna need some more drill down. I would suggest that we maybe have a working group, because I know Nick has to go digging through the expenses to see what assigns to each of the Dalton properties. and come back with a more detailed piece that talks about, do we have actual costs to remediate, and then what we would need to do, so that when we go to get ready to present it to the town, we know exactly what we're looking at, and people can vote on, this is where we were, this is what we have, this is what the cost will be, this is the potential income and revenue, and I don't think we have it in that format now. So my suggestion is that we work on that one, maybe we put together a working group to work with Nick and Lorna to, a couple of people to work on that. But that I would recommend we go ahead and approve the two ordinances, so we get that part done for Mary. And we have that off the board.
So my take on the Dalton properties is I think that that needs to be a full town vote. So I think that if we had that ready for November, when we know there'll be a good turnout versus the skinny one we'll have in June with who comes to vote on the school stuff, and then you've all been to a special town meeting, if there's 50 people, we're lucky.
Right, I think we need to have, and we need to have it in a good format so people can evaluate it, and I don't think we're there yet, so. So is it, I would agree that we put together a working group with Lorna and Nick, and is someone on the board willing to work on that?
So what is it? Do you want to do one or two first?
Huh?
You want to approve one or two first?
Well, I was just gonna sort of get Dalton, if we're gonna put off to a working group off to the side, get that done, and then we can approve those two.
So can I ask Carol, what do you see the role of the working group for the Dalton properties to be? I think there's a wealth of information here. You're looking for someone to put something together in an Excel spreadsheet or.
And, this is putting all of the Dalton expenses together. So that we can look at 8 and 10, and then also to look at, we found all the mold in 8. And to have some idea of what, if we were to remediate it, we've got remediation, and then we've got the other work that needs to be done. So that needs to have some estimates and some things. So we can say, we've got to put this amount of money into it. And this is what our cost benefit's gonna be on it. So that would require, I know we have some expenses from Bruce for the plumbing, but to make sure we have all the expenses that we're going to have so we can make an informed decision, and to do that for 8 and 10.
And there's structural issues for 10. as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think you need a working group. I think you need Nick to pull the numbers together. You need to have the town manager coordinate it, and have Corey get estimates and bids. I mean,
okay, well, we can make
I
that,
mean, that's really what you're looking for.
Right.
So, I'm really sure.
I'm fine with that, it's just we need to drill it down.
Oh, yeah,
So,
but I don't think you need it.
are
You need
you
to
comfortable
do it.
with that, Lorna, that the
Yeah,
three
so
of
it's
you?
fine, sure.
Okay.
So could I say,
Oh, there he is.
getting something more like an executive summary
Mhm.
that summarizes costs, expenses, and revenue, that sort of thing. So it's compact, concise, and to the point. If we can get that, I think that can help explain the story to anybody, a voter who might want to vote one way or the other, and for us.
Right, and I think we'll probably have to ask for, my guess is we'll have to ask for money that's not, I don't know that we have enough in the budget to do. Corey, do we? So we'll have to look at what does it cost, what's it gonna cost to take it down, what's the cost to move it or do it, what's the cost to fix it? And then probably there'll be an article that would authorize the appropriate sums if we need to. And by that time, we'll know what we have for money that's not, because you do have some money in there, right?
I think there's 27.
20, yeah,
24.
there's some in there. We'll know
Right around.
this is what we have and this is what the possibilities are, and the town can make an informed decision. Mary?
How do you plan on explaining that through a referendum warrant article to voters? Because there cannot be any words of explanation in that warrant article. So how are you planning on communicating that information?
I don't know, but we'll have to figure that out. I mean, I think we need to look at how do we communicate that? We
Yeah.
Need to
Can
have.
we do a statement
public
of fact
meeting.
underneath the warrant article?
No words of explanation. I mean, we can send it to Bill to see if a statement of fact would be acceptable, but no words that would sway the voter one way or the other saying.
But you could do a mailing, just like our town report. just
You
do
could do a
just
mailing.
We could go out
And you would have to count on people.
and maybe we
educating
look at
themselves
the,
through it.
Right. Similar to ordinances and that sort of thing.
well, we got 2 letters before then, right?
Yeah, we'll have one ready. I think one usually goes over June.
Short one in June,
Yeah.
is that what you were doing?
Yeah, it's usually.
Like events
It's an
and stuff?
election year, it's a four-time cycle, and it is an election year, so it would be March, June, September. And then usually before voting in November, so you kind of have those last 2 together.
So maybe in June, we expand enough to sort of say, this is out there, we're looking at it.
Oh,
You know,
working
be
on it.
thinking about it,
Yeah,
we're working on it.
The September one could have more information, right?
Right, so we'll have to look at how we do that. Do we have some, meetings in different, we did that with ARPA, that was not well attended, but we had a meeting down at the Center for All Seasons, and we had one up at North Belgrade, and we had one here. So they're available for people if they want to come and get information on it, when we get it put together. So.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the language of the first show town approve amendments to the town's minimum lot size ordinance, which was last amended in March 19, 2010.
Second,
Second, any discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
yep,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. And then you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I make a motion that we move forward the warrant articles, shall the town approve amendments to the town's multifamily dwelling ordinance, which was last amended on March 17, 1970.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor, Dan?
yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
So
So,
make a motion that we table the consideration of the Dalton properties for the November.
second, any discussion?
Well, we had talked also about doing it with a special town meeting if that would be a possibility.
It's like 50 people would come to those.
It just costs money to have that, you don't have big attendance.
Okay,
So,
just check.
okay, all in favor of that, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay. On we go. Okay,
Thank you, Lorna and Nick, for getting the data together that we.
For Dawn, yes,
yes,
you're welcome.
okay.
It's pretty eye-opening.
Right?
Okay, under new business, do you need to text? your
She's
person?
on.
Oh, she's on, okay. I move we open appointments and resignations.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to, request people bear with us, and that we do Kate Hollister's, appointment first, as she stepped out of the meeting to be able to be in person and needs to get back to her meeting, so. Kate, thank you for taking the extra steps to be able to be here. I move we approve the appointment of Kate Hollister as a library trustee.
Second.
And Kate, would you like to tell us a little bit about why you're interested in going on and serving as a trustee?
I hope I unmuted myself. Did I?
You did.
Good. I've been doing town meetings for 40 years. I've been on a lot of committees in the town that I came from, and then I moved up to Belgrade full-time last year, actually. And I like doing volunteer work for towns, and Barbara had suggested the library trustees. And that sounded like a good fit. I do like to read. I think the libraries are pretty vital to a community, so that's why I signed up for it.
Okay.
Do you have
Anyone-
any other questions?
Anyone have anything else for Kate? Okay, all in favor, Dan?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So thank you, Kate. I saw her at town meeting and she said I was gonna take a little bit of a break. And I said, I think you had one. Now you're back on the rolls again. So thank you
Yeah,
and thank you
but-
for being a part of the community here.
Thank you, but I assume the meeting that's scheduled for Thursday has been canceled due to snow?
It probably will be, but stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay,
And-
all righty.
And then Kate, you'll need to come in and be sworn in by Mary here in the town office.
Okay, I
just-
guess I'll do
that
that
would
quick
be-
tomorrow
No.
morning.
No, office is closed on Wednesdays.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
And then, so we'll have to stay
Right.
tuned on Thursday. So,
okay, we'll figure it out.
all right, thank you,
Thank
Kate.
you, everybody. Bye.
Okay. Okay, the next one is a reappointment for, Sarah Langett to the, planning board. I move that we approve her appointment.
Second.
If you'll note, the application we have here does not have the bullying and harassment, check, but she has completed another one. So the one in our book didn't have that statement, but she has completed one now that Mary, do you have it on file?
Yeah.
So-
I have the new one.
That was always a question where it's not there. So any discussion on, this approval? Sarah's not on or here.
Nope.
Okay, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So there are 5 and we'll tell Sarah to come see you, Mary. Okay,
Seconded that.
Barbara. I think. The next one is the reappointment of Scott Ferguson to the Budget Committee. And he did do the right form. So I move we approve the appointment of Scott Ferguson to the Budget Committee.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. I don't think Scott's on anywhere. Any discussion? All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes.
And we still need to get these forms straightened out, because yes, it's the right one with the bottom, but it's still the wrong form. It's not the most recent one. So we've got 3 different forms here.
I think what they were emailed out was maybe an incorrect one, or they pulled it.
They pulled it from someplace.
It's all
Yeah.
been updated on our website now.
Yeah, we've
We
gone
checked
through the
it.
whole website.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the next appointment is Matthew Elliott here. Or, and he's not online.
We'll get in touch. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Motion that we table the appointment of Matthew Elliott until he can join us for a meeting.
okay, second, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that we'll table that one. And then the next one is, I move that we approve the appointment of Rita Daniels to the Stevens Fund.
Second.
And, okay, second, and Rita? Can you just tell us why you're doing this or what causes you to do this?
I've worked at Belgrade Central School for the last 10 years, 5 as a one-on-one, the last 5 as the librarian. So I've seen the great things the Stevens Fund does for our students. Today, in fact, I actually had an offer for our pre-K through second students that is supported by the Stevens Fund. I have an offer coming next week for our 3rd through 5th graders. So I'm just excited to be a part of this board.
Okay, I think that's wonderful. Anyone have any questions for Rita? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, and thank you for your work and especially your love of reading. That's
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you
See Mary, you can probably sway him.
Yeah. Well, she might take you out in the hall.
That's my- put in there.
Okay. Our next item, is, I move we open the monthly committee presentation by Mary Vogel.
Second.
Second, Mary, you're on.
Okay, well, we're on together, because we got Kim here, my
Oh.
sidekick, so she's also on the committee. am not really sure. I think we've been running for about 3 years now, the committee. I'm just gonna give you an overview basically of the last year of what we've been doing, the things that we've accomplished. We have ongoing, we put out surveys that we also have here in the office. I've collected another probably 50 to 60 of them that people regularly come in, which helps us to let us know what people are interested in, what are their concerns. The average age is about 70 of those people filling them out, so we're always compiling the information to find out what we can offer. You know, our goal, as far as the Senior Resource Committee, is not to me about income or revenues and generating revenues from seniors. It's offering programs and resources and being able to assist seniors in ways that, you know, they may need it and don't have a resource for it. So we do have an individual flyer that trifold that we've done that we need to update. But we're still providing the file of life, so I've left those up there so you can see those. We're probably giving out probably 350 of those since we started it. So it's been very good. They've been very helpful. People like to have them. They ask for it. We have the signs out front. Probably through the winter months, we've been doing our ongoing sand bucket delivery. So we provide seniors with buckets of sand. They call the office. We have had people sign up to help deliver, but more often than not, it's us delivering. So anyway, but people have been very happy about that because there's a lot of seniors out there that just, they're not capable of being able to go to the sandy shed up here and just shoveling in the buckets, bringing those to them. I think we delivered more last year than we did this year. Lack of snow, lack of ice. But last year it was constant. And so it was difficult to keep up because many of us still work full time. We do have several people on our committee that I wouldn't even ask them to take out buckets of sand. They're elderly themselves. So that's been a successful program for us. We hold a craft day every week. That's been ongoing. On Thursdays, we have different people that are doing crafts. Through the summer months, it's pretty much been Karen McFadden, who is a snowbird. But Jean Perkins is considering getting onto the committee, and she does take it up for 2 months of the year. We have Ann Greer, who is part of the food pantry. She does the craft group, and I'm not sure who's doing it now. There's an in-between person that just started. So anyway, that's ongoing on Thursdays, and they meet 9 to noon up at the community center. We do try to get donations and put information out there. They have been, through the winter months, they were making hats, which they were donating to the food pantry, and they were also bringing them down to the school with the donated yarn that they had received. Okay, so we are going to be starting, we have a new person that's going to be joining. His application will come before you next week. It's Michael Aslan. He was part of the Snow Pond Seniors in Oakland, and he was doing game day up there, and he intends on starting game day here in Belgrade. There are a lot of people through our surveys that want card games that I noticed today as I was going through some of them. And just, it's a social thing to be able to just get together with other seniors and, you know, the seniors that will be attending that mostly aren't the seniors that are playing pickleball. They're less active. They want to be with someone, and I think Michael's actually gonna do a great job on that. He was quite interested in it. Pickleball has been ongoing. I mean, the center has picked it up a lot now during their time. We did do the pickleball, throughout the summer. And, Karen McFadden headed up a lot of that down at the school on their courts. We have a puzzle exchange where we've had, I don't know, hundreds of puzzles donated. We drop them off at the center in the library. People pick them up on a regular basis and they just switch them out. When they're done, they bring them back and pick up another puzzle. So that's been a fairly active, program as well. We did 2 trips last year. We did one to Botanical Gardens, and we joined forces with, the Recreation Department. And, just hoping to fill the bus. We didn't quite fill the bus, but everybody had a great time. It was, a really good time. A little bit of rain, but not too bad. In the fall, we did a trip to Rangeley. They went to, what did they go?
Outdoor Heritage Museum?
The Outdoor Heritage Museum. They went to, oh, what's the lookout spot up there in Rangeley? Highland, yes. And then they went to the restaurant and they made a couple of other stops along the way, but everyone had a good time. It's our hope to, continue to join forces with the Recreation Department. Our budget's very small. And, in sharing those costs together, because the buses now are like $1,700 and I can't see putting seniors on a long trip like that on a school bus. So sharing those costs, maybe sharing the cost with, I've spoken with the rec director in Oakland, Eric Seekins, and he's kind of been interested in sharing costs because they can't afford the expense either. So, but we did have, non-residents that paid full cost because we offered it to them because we supplemented through, taxpayers here for Belgrade residents. So Oakland residents did participate. I think there were 6 of them or more, and, they ended up going on the Rangeley trip. And they had a good time. What else? Oh, so we have our end of life or, planning, life planning, we could call it, and not end of life.
These are fabulous.
Yeah, so that is Kim's baby, so I'm gonna let Kim talk about that because she did all the work and done a fantastic job.
Yeah, so it's this coming Saturday, 10 to noon. Here, it will be Zoom. We have, Lisa Day will come and do a brief presentation on, she's a representative from Legal Shield. So she will come and talk, what Legal Shield services are. They do wills. She'll talk about the difference with wills and trusts and, wills that go into probate. I'm not really sure what she'll talk about, but that will be the focus, is that she's with Legal Shield. Then we have a representative from Wheeler Funeral Home who'll come and talk about what happens with a death, what the family can expect, what has to happen, what state forms there are. She will also talk about mortuary trusts and prepaying for services and arrangements. And then we've got Corey coming to talk about the discovery cemeteries and how people can get a plot in what has to happen and what those things around that. I think from what I understand, it will be about the whole 2 hours. Lisa told me that her presentation's 20 to 25 minutes. Wheeler Funeral Home is about 45 minutes, and then whatever the cemetery will need to talk about, the plots with that. Can I add a couple things that Mary missed that? Okay. We did do, a healthy cooking class this year that we partnered with, Maine General, and that was, no cost, and they did, I think it was
6 or 8 weeks.
Six
But they have different recipe every week and after the recipe, the participants went home with a bag of groceries needed to make that recipe, so they could recreate it. And that was really well received, and they got a cookbook, a healthy cookbook. And, it was limited, we could only do 12 people, but we had really good feedback on that. People were really pleased with that program.
And it's a federally funded program, so they can only do it once annually, but we can reapply. So hopefully this year we'll be able to do that as well. That's very nice.
So quarterly, we do a quarterly newsletter. It's a front and back.
Kim does a quarterly newsletter, that is fantastic. I usually try to send it out to everybody, not
I
sure.
came
if
back
you've all
on,
caught
I
it.
was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and we try to, it's really, simplified. It's not, I mean, I've seen newsletters with this, lots of pages of stuff. This is one page front and back. And there'll be news and upcoming events and things that are going on of interest. And then the back page is usually a topic specific kind of, resources that people can access or people can do or just that. And then, a holiday party, we did a holiday party this year that, we had more than 24 people. It was much bigger this year than last year. Last year we only had a few. But we had the Rhines come and, do holiday music and had cookies and hot chocolate and, Barbara was there.
I was there,
think
yeah, it was
a lot
really,
of
it was
fun.
really, it was really nice.
Again, we had a lot of people that said,
We have a lot of
yeah, they're
positive
planning on it. and-
comments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think those types of events will just build every year. You'll get more people to come. Because the word of mouth about that has got to be great. You know, the Ryans did such a good job with
They
the
did a
music.
fantastic job. We
Yeah.
actually got inquiries about who they were and how they could be hired.
Yes.
So, they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it's a nice event.
Yeah. So for the past couple of years also, we've been doing a plant swap in the spring for people to, share their plants, no cost. It's just, it's another opportunity to get together, talk to your neighbors, share your plants. We didn't mention also, we do, movie Mondays.
Right.
That has been attended, not a lot of people, but it's attended by, people mostly from North Belgrade.
It's
They
6
just
to
go out.
7.
Yeah, they share popcorn and, just sit there and watch a movie and they're just happy to be together with someone. And,
Yeah.
they don't really talk or they'd love to go and snag the cookies that Kim makes when she goes.
There's a good reason to snag Kim's cookies.
Cookies, yeah, so anyway, also, I want to say that this end of life, well, I call it life planning, I changed the name of it.
I know Mary doesn't like end of life, but it is end of life.
It sounds
Yeah.
so morbid. So it's really life planning. It's not just for you, it's for your family members. It's for anybody to come to. Because if you come, you're gonna get one of these books. And if you looked, I don't know, I left one at all of your
I
desks.
think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it is a great book because it lets you know, you can sit down with your family member, your mom, your dad, your aunt, whoever it is, and just go through and say, hey, let's fill out a couple of pages here, what do you have in place? And so that's what we're hoping to do is, it's not just for elderly people. It's a Zoom for everybody. I also wanted to mention, in the surveys that we've gotten, there were several surveys where there were concerns about, elderly folks not having enough money, not being able to pay their taxes. It was pretty sad when I read some of them. And, we do try to provide information. The whole stabilization program that fell apart is really gonna be hurtful to people this year. It's gonna be very hurtful because it's gonna be a double duty. Because your taxes are gonna go back up to where they should have been. And then the increases that are gonna be coming along, where some of those, we don't always have, control of, some we do. We do try to provide, and I had a lot of people come in, there still is the 22 tax fairness credit, which is based upon the prior years. So we do try to hand that out. But, you know, there are concerns, and as you go through some of the surveys there, but I want to compile some of the information, maybe pass it on to you if we can get everything into a spreadsheet. So you can see too, that we do have residents out there that have concerns and, you know, they're not able to, they're worried about food, they're worried about just being able to stay here in Belgrade, which is a town that they love, and many of them say that in there. And, because of the cost, their costs are increasing, so, as are all of ours. But did I leave anything else out?
No, the only thing I will add is, it's Saturday, we also have, legal services for the elderly. We're not able to come, but they sent a bunch of, just, pamphlets and brochures and stuff that we will have a table
So we'll have
set up
handouts
with
and
information for people, yeah.
So if you come in person, you will get a book. You will information from legal services and Lisa, Corey, and
Alyssa.
Yeah, anyway,
No,
so that's it in a nutshell.
can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you find it's hard to get folks there because there may be transportation issues? You know, as folks get older, a lot of them don't have their licenses, they may have family members who work full time and maybe can't get them there.
And I think, yeah, that's why we try to hold most of our programming during the day too, because we have elderly people that don't drive at night. But I haven't heard a lot of concerns, and, you know, I had a couple with the, when Maine General came, and I had a couple who I tried to partner them with somebody who would pick them up to go and attend, the cooking class, because they really wanted to do it, but, we're not able to get there, so we try to, look at those things and.
Mary, was that class in Augusta?
No, it was
Oh, they-
actually, they came right out here. It was really fantastic.
Oh, wonderful.
They gave them this big thick cookbook.
Yeah.
Make a meal, from the cookbook, and then they gave them, they all created it together, and then they gave them a bag of groceries and sent them home to create the meal on their own, so.
That's great.
We had a lot of positive comments about that. It'd be nice if we could do that more often and have someone come in. Because I think some people really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're doing wonderful work, both of you. It just,
we're
you know,
trying.
we hear
Let's try that.
wonderful things about it. Anyone else have any other questions or comments for Mary and Kim? Well, keep up the good work, because it's really important, and I think this end of life planning is essential. If any of you have ever gone through having someone in your family pass away, and you're all of a sudden like, where do I go, and what do I look, and I mentioned on one, you come across an old life insurance policy, and because it's 30 years old, and you take all this time tracking it down and found out it was cashed in to, you know, I mean, all those things, this really puts all of your stuff together, so it's a really, really great idea.
We personally, in my family, went through both ends of it. We went through my parents who had everything done, advanced directives. We knew they wanted to let go. The funeral home was all paid, advanced, everything was done. And then my husband's family who had none of that done. And we were scurrying around at a time when you're grieving and lost your parents, and you're trying to make arrangements and trying to figure out life insurance policies. And so, when Mary says it's my baby, it sort of was, and there might have been a little bit personal piece behind that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's great. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you both. And the rest of your committee too. I know it's just the two of you here, but you'd pass along our thanks to all your committee
Yeah.
members. For
Yeah.
all they do.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is I move we open the discussion on the ad hoc committee, short-term rental.
Second.
Okay, one of the things that we had talked about before was looking at two things, one which were upgrades and so on to shoreline zoning. And then the other part of that was to look at putting together a committee to look at short-term rentals and how they might be affected and what we may or may not choose to come forward with a recommendations and changes and so on. So, in the, this is from, the February 20th meeting. It said, there was consideration for setting up an ad hoc committee to review ordinances of short-term rentals. The board discussed what a committee might look like in terms of membership and goals, suggested a list of potential members such as code enforcement officer, planning board member, select board member, Lakes and Natural Resource Committee member, comprehensive plan member, 2 community members, someone from 7 Lakes or a lake association, someone who's Lake Smart certified, and a local realtor. So I think we move to establish the committee, and I think the next one is, do we have a select board member on there? It's finding a select board member who
Yeah.
can work on there.
Yeah, well, this was, we had first thought of doing a combined
Right.
committee that would do the environmental piece. And also
Right.
the short-term rental piece. So now the Lakes and Natural Resources Committee has taken over the environmental piece. So I would think a smaller group of people.
This looks like a pretty big committee.
Yeah, since they would strictly be looking at
Short-term rental.
short-term rentals, and we already have a fair amount of information on what some other towns are doing that would, give them
Mhm.
a place to start. But I would think, I don't know, 3 or 5 people, would be plenty to start to take a look at this.
So you need a select person. to
We
be on
need a
there,
select
correct?
person to be on there.
So I will volunteer to be on that.
Okay.
So,
I was like, who would be the perfect one?
so I do have to say that I work during the day, so I can't attend anything. like
During the
8 to
day.
5, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be
Have to
night,
be.
evening,
Evening.
either that or early morning. So I'm not,
Well, depends if we get find a bunch of early birds,
yep, I'm up at 5, so.
which I would not be on that committee. Yeah.
But in terms of charge, do we just want to charge the committee to investigate, to research, short-term rentals and make recommendations for what might be appropriate for the town of Belgrade, or?
So like short-term, so regulating short-term rentals in the shoreline zone, is that what we're doing?
Well, I
Or
think,
short-term
I think it's a bigger
rental,
issue.
everything?
Yeah, would you not be just in the shoreline zone?
Yeah, I mean, right now, we may not have that issue in other areas, but it'll be here quickly. I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot of towns do it. So part of it is, and then,
Yeah,
part of it was, short-term rentals quite often have multiple, family gets together, they get a hotel, a house, and they've got tons of people there for a short period of time, maybe a week or 2 weeks. So, I mean, I think a piece of this is looking at, how do we look at septic systems? I mean, is that something we need to make sure of? How many people are they gonna be sleeping in? There's just a whole bunch of pieces that need to be looked at and.
right, but there are enough other towns that have looked at this
something.
already. We're not reinventing the wheel. We
Right.
can look at what other towns have done and see what seems
See what
most
to see what makes
appropriate
sense.
for Belgrade.
And so we have to be cognizant of the fact the last time we bought this up, there were several landowners and property owners who do rent their properties, and we were very worried that we were gonna step on their rents to be able to do that. So
Right.
That's exactly correct.
Right, absolutely.
There has to be that balance.
Right.
Yep.
And we need to hear from those people about what their concerns are.
Yeah, exactly, so I think maybe a couple of community members.
And I think, we should have if we can, a realtor who deals in rentals. not so much a realtor that's selling property, but if we have a realtor who does a lot of rentals that can say, from a rental point of view, this is what we get, this is what we see. Now, we may not like that, but we need to know what we're looking at there. Bruce?
Two things. One, the samples of the other towns that I saw in the packet, there's none locally or none our size in that packet.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to look at something that is Belgrade or similar size to Belgrade, a town like Belgrade, not Portland, South Portland, Freeport, Cape Elizabeth. Something that's close to Belgrade, not the big city. Two, we all gotta remember, this town was developed and grew on rentals,
Absolutely.
and we got to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've heard talk at the February meeting that going back and making the, rental camps get permits. Well, some of these rental camps are struggling to pay their taxes, maintain their camps, try to keep it, upgrade their septic systems and so on and so forth. Then if you put another fee on, they're just gonna bust and they're gonna have to split them off and sell these camps. So, I mean, I see both sides of it, but the biggest side is I see the side of these people trying to keep their family property.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always been rental properties, trying to maintain and keep them properties and try to keep them at a standard that, one, they're not doing any, trying to keep the damage to the lakes down to a minimum or none at all. And, we keep increasing costs and not gonna be able to do it.
Well, and I think that's the balance. And we need to make sure that we hear all those voices, that it shouldn't just be one side of the voice. And that's why we need to have the committee working on that, and it shouldn't be quick, get it done. It's gonna take some looking.
It's gonna take time.
It's gonna take some time, and, there's a difference of someone who rents their cottage for a month because they need to get that rental income to be able to have it the rest of the time for themselves, as opposed to someone who buys a property and rents it for the entire summer and or year round. Those are two different exposures that we need to look at, and I don't know what we do with it, but we
But
need.
you got a lot of camps up here that are rented all summer long.
There are.
They have been in the family for years. I worked for several of them. Some of them been around for 100 years.
Well, and I think one of
Absolutely.
the things that we need to do is we need to survey the entire town.
Mhm.
Because we need to have more people input than 5 people.
Absolutely.
Or 7 people or 2 committees that are already participatory in other things.
And some of it's non-residents. I mean, because some of these, I'll throw out one as a Foster Point camps. I mean, those have been rental camps for over 100 years. They still are rental camps. And they really haven't changed anything in 100 years, other than septic systems. They haven't changed anything in 100 years. The camps have been maintained. They're all about the same size and.
Yep, there were a lot of them like that. So we need to be sensitive to all of that. But to not look at it, I think makes us as detrimental, because there are some real challenges out there too.
There is.
And how do we balance that? And I think that's what the charge of the committee is to look at.
I mean, there's a lot of our problems is taking these little camps and they get sold off and get put into giant camps and roads that were never plowed or plowed now, and that all adds to the phosphorus in the lakes.
Well, the other problem we have isn't necessarily the camp seat. It's the attitude of people has changed over the years. It used to be, you rented something, you knew it was somebody else's property and you were willing to take care of it. The attitude's changed enough now, so people are renting camps and they don't care if they bring 50 people in there and just play loud music and trash the place. Because they know, not my place anymore.
Right, I'm gonna pay $250.
So that's one of the things we really need to look at. It's how to control the misuse of these camps versus, I don't really want to stop renting.
No, not at all.
It's just, we need to figure out how to keep from having the people that live in these camps, that own the camps next door, be able to handle having the people next door without having them driving them out. Too, so that's, I think, the big challenge now.
And I think some of it too is, saying that, but I think that us having an actual list in the town office of what properties are rented as short-term rentals, because then it gives you the ability to go back and you have a neighbor who's complaining. I mean, I know we had one that was advertised on a couple of sites. The septic was not able to keep up with 10 people, and when that happens, septic is now pumping out onto the lawn, and they're a lakefront property. So, but until people were complaining about it, we had no way of knowing that this camp was even occupied or being rented because the folks don't live here anymore. So I think having a list and having if you intend to do this, there's $100 fee, your name goes on a list, and you have to yearly come in and sign something that states, you know, whatever we need the parameters to be. You know, when you rent an Airbnb, you have 10 o'clock is quiet time, and if you violate the quiet time, they tell you clearly what can happen. So I think that that's the balance we're trying to find. It's very different than the family who moves out for a month in the summertime and rents their camp for 4 weeks in a row because now they can cover their taxes.
Right.
Versus the property folks who don't live here, they don't care about our lakes, they don't care about our neighbors. They care about making money quickly. And that's where we had folks come in and say, you know, how disrespectful people were that were renting around them. And how do you handle that? And they didn't want to put themselves in the position of having to monitor other people's behavior.
I mean, and the other thing is if you make these rules and make them harsh, you better plan on making a full-time code enforcement officer to enforce this, because I don't think at this point in time, I think you're gonna, I mean, I think you're gonna really overburden, I mean, I think he's at the, you know, he's great, but I don't wanna burn him out either.
Right, we don't wanna lose the CEO.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, so I don't wanna burn him out, that might be, I'd burn him.
Well, and he can be a resource to the committee as opposed to being on the committee.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking his workload down the road, his workload, you know, you're gonna add more workload, that's gonna take a lot more hours. So you're going from part-time to full-time position.
I don't think he could do it
I don't
even
think
full-time
he could
because
either.
he does 32 hours
Right.
a week right now. Oftentimes he does more than that, but he does it on his own time, follow-up.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, is
He
you better plan on
would
another
not
position.
be able to enforce, regulate. You'd have to have more than one.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a quick solution or a quick thing.
Yeah.
But I think we need to begin to look at it. But rentals are part of what, I mean, we're a summer resort area, let's be real. People come, they love it, and then eventually, a lot of them come back and buy a place, and maybe this is their 6 month time and they're 6 months someplace else. Because they love the experience of what we have. And we certainly don't want to change that. So it's making sure when they're here that the experience remains good.
Mary.
Oh, Mary, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
was just gonna say, and looking at the impact of the cost on the community, like at our transfer station. Because many times we have people who are doing rentals and they're coming in here and they're getting temporaries. And who knows how many people they have at their place, but there is a cost for the additional, solid waste. There's an impact to our roads. I mean, there's an impact, but I think solid waste is a big thing, and we have a hard time out front in managing people who are having other people stay at their camps. You know, the property owner is actually paying for it through their taxes themselves, but when they're renting the camps and they're having numerous people come in, parties of 50, 25 people coming in, and then we get a call to say, let so-and-so have a temporary pass to the transfer station. So, you know, it's good for a month or it's good for a couple of weeks. I mean, you have those kinds of costs to look at too.
Well, one of the other things I've heard is that because our transfer station hours are so limited, that folks are not taking their trash. They're not disposing of it, so then there is what happens with that trash when the transfer station isn't open at the times that folks have to be out of the properties.
Yeah.
a lot of times it's a Friday.
Saturday.
Was fine, it's Saturday.
It's Saturday, 99% of the camp changeovers in the town of Belgrade are on Saturday.
Saturdays.
And only reason I know that is my son's is a commercial hauler and he picks up, his Saturday goes from
Yeah,
5 in the morning until 8 at night. Because he's busy picking up all the changeouts.
okay. So shall we, we need to come up with some folks here. Do we want to work on that so that by next, maybe send names or suggestions into Laura that between now and next week, the next meeting?
Well, and then why don't we reach out to a couple of the committees that we have said would have a vested interest in them? And I would put something out to the public and ask folks who'd be willing to.
If I'd be interested. Yeah.
Yep.
So look, see if we can consolidate to be ready to appoint a committee next meeting.
Okay.
Is everyone in agreement?
Yep.
Okay. All right,
I'm appointing Peter now.
yeah.
I'm appointing Jason's mind.
Peter already offered him in a public meeting, so he's stuck. Okay, next item, I move we open the discussion on the pest services bid result.
Second.
Second, Lorna, can you take it through?
So we put the RFP out, we had one proposal come in. That was from Terminix, and I listed what the setup fees are, $249 for each facility. And then the monthly fee, which amounts to $315 a month total. If you do the town office, Center for All Seasons, the Lakes Fire Station, and North Belgrade Community Center. I also listed on call, hourly fees. You have a copy of the fee, and then you also have a copy of the current, very old agreements with Modern Pest.
So Modern Pest did not.
No, I sent them the RFP,
Mhm.
Okay, so the.
but I did not get it.
Did go to them.
I did send to Modern, yeah, I found an email and sent it, it did not get kicked back,
Did anybody respond to the email?
no.
I guess my only concern there is whether or not that email is, maybe it's not a watch mailbox. And just, they've done this for us for like 30 years. And I don't have a problem with us looking to do something differently if need be, but I want to make sure that, you know, because their agreement says month-to-month agreement unless canceled by a party with 60-day written notice. So if we didn't have an answer back from them, would it be appropriate to call them? And say, we sent this email, we didn't hear anything back, and the RFP has come back.
Have we been happy with their service?
Yeah. I don't think there's any time.
I don't think so. I don't think they're very attentive. I was at the Center for All Seasons plowing one day and I hit one of the bait stations, destroyed it. They were there the next morning. They never changed it out. I had to call them and tell them to get back there and change out the bait station. I cleaned up the bait myself and disposed of it. They marked them as checked. And clearly, since how I piled it up on the porch, it wasn't checked very good. It's not like it was buried in the snow, it was piled in a pile on the corner of the porch. So, I mean,
This is a somewhat significant increase of what we were paying. Where are we in budget as far as? I mean, it's $1,000 basically to set it up, and then $315 a month.
It would get expensed out, contracted services, line item for each facility under facilities maintenance. You're already paying North Belgrade and Center for All Seasons. So your addition would be the town office and the Lakes Fire Station.
And are we paying the same rate as here?
You're paying 80 at North Belgrade and I think 90 at Center for All Seasons, 170 a month.
170. So we're going, what, another roughly $145
45,
more.
yes.
And so we're looking,
It's actually 84 for North Belgrade, it's up above on that same sheet. 84 a month for North Belgrade and 90 a month for Center for All Seasons.
so do we have room in our budget to add this?
The monthly cost, yes, Corey and I talked about it, we can do that in this budget.
Both setup fees.
I believe that we can, the
I think we can
$1,000.
get the setup fees through contracted services. I think we've got nothing more to do.
And what is the setup fee? Just the cost they charge you for the cost of their.
They come in and do Jess is online if you want to ask her, but they come in and do an inspection, see what's going on with rodents, pests and all that stuff, and then set up accordingly with different bait stations, traps and all that stuff. It's basically an inspection for their first initial so that they know what's going on in the building.
So Carol, so Jess has come off mute, so she could answer,
Yeah,
if you want to ask her.
oh, she's muted. There's Jess.
Hi there.
Jess. Jess, we were talking about what is your setup fee involve and what's that process?
So the setup fee is for us to do full inspections of each building in its entirety, get all the equipment set up. Our equipment is actually free. And to set your logbook up, get the communications going. It's just a longer process for that first initial service. And you don't see it on your end, but it says $249. But I gave each one of the buildings a $50 coupon. So it's actually only $199 per building for the setup.
Oh.
You just can't see it on your end. It's because it's not in the full contract. There is a contract that I would give to you guys, if you move forward. I wanted to minimize the paperwork as much as possible. But the thing that our services provide is both interior and exterior treatments. So unlike other pest control companies, and including Modern, and that contract that you probably have is probably one that my name's probably on it because I worked for Modern at that time when we sold the community centers and the Center for All Seasons. So basically, if you need an exterior treatment for ants, let's say, then that's part of that $75 or $90 a month that I'm charged, that is being charged to you. It doesn't matter what we're doing, you're going to get charged the same amount monthly, but we're going to do whatever services are necessary. So with Modern Pest, they actually charge for those. They charge for all your equipment. So if you break an equipment, Corey, you cannot keep breaking equipment. If you break equipment, then they'll charge you to replace it. We do not do that. So, and I'm not very far away. So if you guys need me, I'm, 5 minutes away. So from all your buildings. But yeah, that's what we do. That's what our services are.
Does anyone have any questions for Jess?
No, I just want to say that at our house, we've been using Terminex with Jess and the whole crew for half a year anyway, probably more than half a year. Started with bats and it evolved into a few other things. And we've been very happy with the service.
Okay.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
So there are no more bats in your belfry?
No more bats in our belfry.
So does anyone think that we should at least call Modern Pest to make sure that they received an email that wasn't answered?
My concern is we now have pricing from Terminex, which is out in the public, so they could, I mean, almost looks like an unfair advantage if they decide to put a quote in. That would be my biggest concern. You know, they now know what's being offered for a pricing.
Did you just send it out an email or these companies mailed request?
We didn't mail, email, and then it was posted on Facebook and our website.
And I guess I just feel like if somebody's been doing the service for us and they have responded in the past when we requested certain things, like when the Central season was going to be used for daycare, or after-school care and the summer camp program, we said you need to revamp what it is that you're putting down, we need to be cautious in this. There's food preparation, North Belgrade, they revamped what they were doing there, so I feel like over the years that they have been responsive to that. And I guess I feel like if an email wasn't responded to, that we should have probably followed up with a second line of communication.
Melanie,
Yeah,
really quick. So that is just your standard IPM, integrated pest management, which is something that we strictly adhere to. Them not, putting down chemicals in kitchens or around children or things like that. There's a pretty strict rules and regulations through the state that need to be followed, and we follow those to the letter.
Oh, I wasn't anticipating that you hadn't, Jess. I was just thinking, and it was dogging your services whatsoever. I just.
Right. No, I understand.
That we're respectful of them as well, because they have been doing the service for us for 20, 25 years. So they're not worried to the fact that we're now going out on our RFP, which we've not done previously, probably for the last 15 years. They wouldn't be expecting for us to do so.
So I have a question about process. If an RFP went out and had a deadline of March 28 at 12 noon, what sort of communications that happen afterwards with someone, does that violate that process about the RFP? That's my question. Because I think your question is a good one. We have had, years of practice with this other group, but what we don't know is, did they even get the email? We don't, we have had no.
And I thought the process was if we sent an email that there was a red receipt that would come back if it was read. So it was read and not responded to. That's one thing.
Right.
But I think if we're looking at changing something, that it would behoove the town to come up with another way to communicate with that entity. Especially if we didn't receive the response.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Other RFPs that other companies have been working on, is that usually a mailed out RFP, like Dan was asking, or is that email? I know mine was mailed.
I usually email out. I don't think we usually mail. Do you mail them, Mary? Do you mail anything?
I say I got one with that.
Then I usually keep a list of who I mail it to, but.
I know we emailed out for, the engineering for the
Right.
fire station
But I mean, what I guess what I'm getting at is,
and the audit services, pest services. None of those were mailed.
right, so, but I guess what I'm getting at is companies that you've worked with, have been working with for years. Usually you mail out to the companies that, and then the new companies either gonna find it by email or by, through the MMA or through the newspaper.
I thought we were putting out an RFP because we were happy with the service we were getting.
I'm just trying to get clarification how it is. I know, I like Terminex. I've worked with Terminex on several other projects and they're great, so I don't have nothing against Terminex at all.
No, the only reason I brought up the RFP was just, I just wanted to compare pricing.
Right.
But we also, I guess, the fact that we've had a policy in place on how we do RFPs, and if we're not adhering to the same policy, we've got to sort of streamline that, because we did used to use the newspaper. And that's where folks would go and they would read the classifieds and see who was doing RFPs for whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is why we backed away from the newspaper.
Right.
Because we were no longer legally obligated to put those into the newspaper, but we'd have to pay for a 2-day ad. So. I don't know, I guess I didn't realize that we hadn't received anything back, and I would have questioned it earlier, probably before the RFP was due to come back. To make sure that we had reached out to them stating that we are putting out a request for proposal and we would like for them to respond. I just think it's being courteous to someone that has worked for us for years.
Anyone else? I guess my concern is what I said before, is now the numbers are out there. And that doesn't seem fair. Now, maybe they come back at a higher number. I mean, except they know what the competition is now. So if they wanted to keep the contract, and we're doing it based on cost primarily. Now there's a fingering scale.
Right, they could submit a lower cost.
So,
Just one other thing is, this has been done in the past where your contracted companies that work for your town, not you guys as a board, but the board has asked, can you give us an estimated cost, what you think this project's gonna cost? And then them companies give an estimated cost of what them projects are gonna cost, then it goes out to RFP. We already gave roughly, what it's gonna cost, and it goes out to RFP. We lose the project because the project got bid less than what we bid, because they already knew what the price.
they know what the price is. That's my concern here.
But you guys have, not you guys, I'm not saying, the board. the
Don't
town-
worry at me when you
The
say
town
that.
of Belgrade board has done that multiple times in the past, and I know it's been complained about multiple times. But I don't know the right answer. Like I said, I worked with Terminex, and I have that they do a good job. Pest mold control, I got a couple camps that they're in, and I have the same issue that Tori just talked about with 8 boxes. So they say they check them, but they don't.
We second, yeah, we second that as well.
Yeah,
I think I'm willing to change at this point. Because I mean, we can put it back out again when this is done, and
we can put it out for next year.
Do a 1-year
The contract is for,
Yeah, we can put it out
contract is
again.
for a year.
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
But we also would have to give Modern Pest a 60-day cancellation.
And we have a current contract with them.
We do, we have a month-to-month contract that we sign, and is month-to-month unless either side gives us a 60-day notice.
Okay, so I guess I move that we award our contract to Terminex effective 60 days from, well, this is April 1st, effective June 1st or June
Second.
2nd.
Yeah, well, actually, depends if you guys won't be able to get a chance to contact them until either Wednesday or probably Thursday, as you close, so I would plan like Fridays,
Friday.
that's 60 days from Friday's day.
We might have no power,
No power to contact.
Exactly.
Well, let's vote on it and move forward.
Yeah. and I'd
One
like
way or
to
the
just
other.
See our budget numbers too,
So-
because that's double what we're doing, so we can just.
Well, we're adding facilities though. I killed 2 spiders in here today.
So you had a motion?
I have a motion to go ahead with Terminex. in
Were they bigger
effective
than
60 days
Just
from now.
about, Dean.
I will second that motion.
Okay, 60 days from Friday.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So Laura, would you take care of getting that piece done? Okay.
And instead of just guessing that we get enough money in the contracted services, and we verify we have enough money
Yes,
for that.
I'll run a report.
Okay, the next item, I move we open the discussion on procedure for review of employee handbook and policies. And Lorna, that's all yours again. Second.
So at your December 5 meeting, you discussed reviewing the entire employee handbook in the first 6 months of 2024. Now that we have wrapped up the budget process and annual town meeting, the board might consider setting up a schedule for reviewing the handbook and applicable policies. And from the minutes of your December 5, 2023 meeting, discussion on setting up a reserve account and funding for benefits paid out at separation of service, that was done. Review entire handbook during the first 6 months of 2024. Select person Melanie Jewell motion to offer all, full-time employees who meet the criteria, the option to cash out vacation time in the month of December. Seconded by Carol, and then a vote. And then the harassment and bullying policy did get updates. Select person Melanie Jewell motion to approve those amendments. And that was seconded by Peter, and voted and passed. So we're in month 4.
Okay, so, employee handbook update sounds like, your bailiwick. How would you suggest we move forward with it?
I think if it were me, Mary, and maybe a select board member to review, the handbook and the policies and come up with recommendations, and then those would come back to the board. For review and approval.
And what would you need for time frame?
I don't know. What do you think, Mary?
2 weeks, not the next meeting, but the one after?
Well, that doesn't mean that every single policy in the handbook needs to be revamped. We're not.
There are
reinventing the wheel.
significant things that do need to be changed that are in conflict.
It's pretty
right now
old.
and have been brought up to me by new employees. They really should be changed, so maybe start with some of those first and move on from there.
There's quite a bit that has to be reviewed.
Yeah, there is, but
So could we do it for the first meeting in May? Is that gives you?
We could have some things ready
yeah,
for the first meeting.
Yeah.
I'm available during the day, so if you want to put a person, I'd be
Okay.
happy to check.
Okay, is that agreeable? So if so, Lauren, if you and Mary and Barbara put that, and then if nothing else, just get back to us and say, you know, we can do this part here and it's gonna take another meeting or 2 to get the rest of it done. So that we know where we're at, but at least so we can get it
by the end of the year, we'll have it all done.
by the end of June. Okay,
Well, as you do, it would be great to say, if you can send the section of the one you're working on, the original, and when you guys come up with your edits, send them in the edits and reds ahead of time, so we can go through. If we want to make little tweaks, we can send them back, so that we're not
that's a
trying,
good idea.
that way we're not trying to do that all at a select board meeting.
Right, get it done ahead of time.
So just to do the track changes on
Yeah.
the existing document.
Yeah.
and
But
then-
send that out ahead of time.
Yeah,
Right, and to make sure that if people do make recommendations or changes, that you hit it, reply to all, so everybody's working from the same document.
Right,
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
right now, we have some documents going around. And I'm just like, okay. Because people are working from different documents, it seems like,
Yeah.
and not all the
Agreed.
changes are being caught
Yeah.
in different areas.
what would be super cool is to have the document in one spot that people can then edit. So it's not sent around and have to worry about reply to all. or-
is there an IT person who knows how to set that up?
Yes, there is, and that can be done by using a team site
Mhm.
and then just,
Like Microsoft Teams.
which we all have accounts for.
Yeah, we had great luck with that.
Yeah, we had a problem with that yesterday. We ended up doing the Zoom call on my phone. Or the Microsoft Team call on my phone with
Couldn't
Senator
get-
Collins' office.
Get
Couldn't
it
get it.
access here.
Well, it wasn't just here, we had
Did you have
problems
trouble?
at Dan's office too,
So it wasn't just us.
yeah, it took us
Okay,
four
good.
tries to get
I
home.
felt awful.
Well, I budgeted them for a little bit when I got. out of
You
the
did,
state
you
of the
couldn't get it either.
I think we probably all need a course in Microsoft Teams. I think that makes
Yes,
the problem.
yeah, could be. But anyway,
Okay,
not trying to solution, but I'm just thinking if we
That
could
would
keep the
be a better
document
way
in
to-
one spot
Right.
and then have people
It's
go
important.
to it.
go to it.
I just don't wanna spend 3 hours with a select board meeting.
I
Myself,
agree.
and our ideas.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
we need efficiency, Dan.
Yeah, and I also think it's helpful if people can author their edits so that you know who's making,
Maybe,
The
maybe
suggestions.
Microsoft team and you assign different people different colors. So that-
I think by default, people
We've
do.
done it in the past where you
We
have-
had that when they would work on the water systems
On
and
the
stuff.
side.
Yeah,
We were getting stuff back from the lawyers, some were in red, some were yellow, and some.
yeah. Well, let's see what we can
Yes,
figure out and go from there.
yes,
Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, I move we open the item on facility maintenance, cemetery, lawnmower estimates, et cetera.
Second.
And I think that's Bill or Corey, who's,
I got it.
okay,
Basically, what we're trying to do is upgrade one mower that's totally out of service because the repair costs are way too much.
Hey, while you're right there. Now I'm just.
Yes.
Good night, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
You guys have an updated copy of them.
Thank you,
Don't
man.
fall over.
Yeah.
Don't be breaking that, Dan.
I can take the bolts out with my fingers here, so. A little loose.
Okay, so what we wanna do is replace, number 3 there, third one down. That one is over in storage, cause it's like $4,000 worth of repairs on that, it's not worth it, it's a 2011 machine. It's just not worth putting money in.
Can we use it for parts for anything else?
We might be able to use it for the one that we have left over for right now, we've actually robbed some parts off it already, so yeah, we'll continue to. Their
Cannibalize.
diesel, we have one more diesel, and my goal is to replace that diesel next year, because that's getting tired also. And then we'll be in pretty darn good shape, and then the zero turn that we have, the Kubota, that's a 2003, I do believe. And that's getting tired too, the brakes don't work, the brake switch, you gotta slam your foot on the brakes 5 or 6 times just to get it to start, and then if you shut it off, good luck getting it started again, so there's no sense in putting the kind of money that we need to into these machines to keep.
because of the age of the machine, is that what you're
The
saying?
age of machines, and the cost of the walker is a little higher this time because I'm trying to upgrade them to make it a little more safe for people to use them. Because right now, when we mow, if we're down to the ballpark or if we're over the village green, we back the lawnmower up onto the trailer. Get off the lawnmower on the trailer, dump it, then we shovel it up into a pile, and then we drive off, and we go into the cemetery, unload it by hand. And I know several times people have fallen off the trailer. So this newer walker is gonna solve that problem, is my goal. So yeah, they're a little more expensive, but we planned on it last year when we set up the budget in the first place. So that's what I'm looking to do.
So we do have money in the budget to do
We
this.
do.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah. My only concern is, going through all this, we as a cemetery committee generally get, notices or have a chance to go over the costs and whatnot of the different items. I'm not against buying them, because we do need them, but the cemetery committee as a whole has not seen any of the projections of costs or anything like that. And I think it should go, I think the procedure is that if it's a cemetery item, it goes through the cemetery first before it gets to the board.
Well, the cemetery committee was involved in setting up this budget with the plan of replacing 2 lawnmowers when we did our budget initially back months ago. So it's not a surprise that we're doing this. This was the plan. This is why we put the money there in the first place.
We talked about it, but we really didn't have any figures. And the figures have not, I haven't seen the figures, but the rest of the committee hasn't seen them.
Bruce?
I know how it goes on other equipment, like fire department, so on and so forth. Usually what happens, it goes through a committee, the committee specs it, kind of looks at different machines, so on and so forth, and then bring their recommendations to the board. That's usually how it goes with any equipment. I know all the other equipment that's been bought for the cemetery, it's not through the committee has looked at other, looked at the equipment, looked at the prices that's coming from the companies, and then make our recommendation to the board. That's how it's happened in the past. And I'm not denying that this stuff's not needed. I'm not denying it.
It's definitely needed.
It's definitely needed.
We have, the walker is pretty much standard. It's coming back from a factory price, factory setup. There ain't gonna change no matter where we get it from. So,
When does the cemetery committee meet again?
We haven't, but no, we needed a committee to meet with the committee, we hadn't.
You don't have anything scheduled?
No,
I called to set up one today at the end of the month, so Mike Kano could be here.
So, is this something that we can just, maybe you can get back and come back for our next select board meeting, and so the committee's had a chance to look at it?
Yeah.
Would that make sense? Just,
Is it possible that Mike could zoom into the meeting, like could the meeting be here? So you could actually use the meeting hour?
I could ask him, but he just wanted 2 weeks before he's got out and about. He wanted to be here. So,
Yeah.
where he had his knee replaced. So he wanted 2 weeks.
Dan's like 2 years.
Yeah.
About 2 years.
Yeah, I don't wanna circumvent the cemetery committee.
Yeah.
In all the years I've been doing what I do, the cemetery committee is extremely involved.
yeah,
And so I don't want for anyone to feel like that it didn't go through a review process. I don't think they're saying that the endpoint won't be the same.
right.
I think just,
Well, I think maybe when the committee budgeted, they budgeted them out, and now they want to look at the numbers, and if you can do that in the next 2 weeks, I would suggest we do that and then come back at the next meeting, and it should be slam dunk. If it's in the budget, committee's approved it.
Okay.
Is that
And-
agreeable, everyone?
It is to me, and the
Consensus?
need is there and everybody
Oh,
agrees
Yeah.
to it. So I think it's really just making sure the communication about what the model is, specs,
Yeah.
cost, share it with the group. I think we'll be good to go. So just doing that piece, I think we're in.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of that, you know.
Okay,
there you go.
okay.
So we table that item to the next meeting.
Table the item.
I'll make that recommendation, that motion.
Okay,
And seconded?
okay. All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so, we'll see you on April 16th. Okay,
Thank you
And-
for the updated list, Corey.
yeah,
Corey, thank you for the updated list.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna keep it in here.
okay. I move we open, the next item of business, an on-premises liquor license application, new for day store.
Second. Thank you
Okay.
guys for having all the highlights.
Okay, day store, you're on.
Did you bring the wine for this? No, we didn't like it yet, Melanie.
We're working on it. I think you have the whole total application in front of you. I think we've, checked off all the boxes and I just, need your approval.
Okay, so I looked at it,
Any questions?
it is a like a 1A, a restaurant with full liquor, correct?
Correct.
I was looking at it like, I thought. it said-
On premise.
Yeah, on premise,
So
yeah.
we'll still have the off-premise license, but this will be on-premise license for a separate part.
Oh, so you have to have two separate licenses?
Mhm.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Any questions for anyone? Wendy will.
Wendy will.
I'm not supposed to ask that
I just
question.
wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything, because you can overnight it, so there isn't a hold right for 30 days. Once the municipality signs off on it, you can theoretically get right down to business on it.
That's the goal.
So I was just trying to, had read it all last night, and I was kind of just rereading it to make sure there wasn't, because you had May 1st as a start date, and we're April 2nd. Want to make sure that that wasn't gonna put you in a pickle.
You're not putting us in a pickle.
No.
People are gonna get pickled.
And we did have an updated application that was on your desk. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a box that was missed and it's now been fixed. So if you had seen that when you looked through, so that's been updated. If there are no questions or discussions,
Jingle.
Hang on just one second. It was the, what did I just see with that? 3/20/24. So it was the application done in May, June, okay. March, April. I was like, hold on a sec, there was the, now it's void after 60 days. I'm just making sure we're all real legal.
okay,
I make a motion, we approve the application for.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Barbara second. Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and congratulations. I think that's exciting. And I have not been peeking in the windows all winter either. No, I was afraid you'd catch me on camera being nosy, so I didn't. It's gonna be exciting.
When can we see
I
inside?
think my guys done.
So we're hoping to
Oh, is
open
it?
the door into there to do an entry system. And then the goal is to put a check bag back. And that is, goal is sometime before swimming pool.
Okay. Rough-
Oh, I
rough
thought you were gonna say Memorial Day. Okay, all right, our next order is other business. Is there other business? Barbara, did you have
Yes,
something?
I have an item of other business. And this is in,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for, thank you, gals.
thank you very much.
Take care.
You guys, thanks for coming.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Using a pen.
This is in response to a question that came up in public comment at the last meeting about select board members' participation on the comprehensive plan committee. And so I queried Joel Greenwood at Katie Cog about what his experience is on the issue with other towns as far as select board members participating. And so I just wanted to read what he said in his reply. Hi, Barbara, I do not see any problem with your input and participation in the comp plan process, especially as there seems to be lots of other voices and you are not official voting members. In fact, the select board's insights and enthusiasm for the project is a positive thing. Comp plans in all communities we work with need substantive input and ideas from all the town officials as well as residents. The fact that you are aware there could be a perception of too much influence is good, and that you can make sure that it is not actually occurring, but I would certainly not look to lessen your input. Maybe sitting elsewhere would look better. I suggested that we would sit in the audience rather than sitting at the table, which is what I did at that meeting. But you have just as much right to provide input as any other resident. The town can make a decision if it feels the need to, but this is how I see it. Hope this is helpful. So I just wanted to put that on the record. I shared this with the board. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay,
Thanks, Barbara.
any discussions, Jones?
So it sounds like, so best practice would be for, if any of us were to participate in a board, is that correct?
Comp plan, comprehensive plan.
Plan, meeting like that, to just remember to not be like at the table.
Yeah.
Sitting in the audience.
Sitting-
Right, I mean, I was sitting up here beside Lorna because I was just used to being up here. So, and, you know, I thought about that, that's probably, you know, I'm there as a citizen, not as a select board member. And the select board doesn't vote on it, it's voted by the legislative body, it's voted by the citizens.
Right. So,
But I do, the select board member on those various cases has always been a liaison to answer questions about processes and that. So having watched the first part, then, you know, watched the whole movie, but, you know, I sort of understood that because I think what was being stated was that if two board members were very participatory, they would only need one other board member to then have a majority, and it couldn't look like you were swaying certain pieces of the comprehensive plan. So.
Yeah, and that's why I think that sitting out in the audience is a good idea. I'm sorry that, you know, I wasn't aware of the optics before, because I have been going to every single one of the meetings and I find it fascinating.
I've been watching them online.
Yeah, and I think it's a really important process and I would encourage everybody, you know, to go to, you know, a meeting that's, and I mean, any and all of them. 5:30 on the third Wednesday of the month.
We have one the 17th.
Yeah.
April 17th.
well, and I think the other thing is, we can say, oh, everybody should go, but it behooves us to say, Bruce, will you come with me to that meeting? Because if you ask someone to come, they usually will show up. If you say, here's a meeting, if you want to go, go. So maybe for all of us to try to be a little more, try to get more people involved in the process, because there aren't a huge amount of people involved in it at this point. So
That's a good point. That's a
if you
very,
ask people, they'll go. If you do it one-on-one. So anyway, or there's a better chance they'll go, let me put it that way.
Yeah, and there is a chance for citizen input. Once the committee has approved. Approved the chapters, but I think it's really good, the people, the members of the community who have been coming. For the particular topics have been really offering some good insight.
Right. Okay, now, the only other thing I have under other business, I believe we have one more check to write to Warner Brothers, either one or two.
It should be one.
One,
May.
I just think we should do something as an appreciation or a thank you for the long time relationship we've had. And, you know, I'm thinking we get I don't know, $250 gift certificate to the Village Inn or something and say, thank you. You've been with us, you've done a long time, and we take it out of the select board money or something, a way of just saying more than, okay, here's the last check, that we make it a little extra piece. So I just raised that and we don't have to necessarily decide today. We could do it at another meeting, but Bruce,
Place.
I don't have a problem with that, but the last snowstorm, they were very lax. If we would have had a fire call or a rescue call, we would have never been able to get a truck on any of our town roads at all. I could barely get around my four-wheel drive with a plow. So I'm hoping that you guys as a board will authorize Lorna to make a phone call to them. And I would expect to see our roads, as much as we're paying per mile, and as white as this one has been, to have our roads probably a little bit better than they were. They went in at the last storm, left these roads at about 6:30, between 6:30 and 7:30, they left these roads
are you I wasn't here, morning or evening?
at night.
Okay,
Oh, the morning was great too, because the school was called off, so the West Road wasn't touched. There was some sand thrown down in the middle.
This is the first time hearing of it. You should have called me.
Well, I mean,
would have
I
called
wasn't,
right then.
it's kind of wound me up and it's like, I thought we was done, but I thought we was done for winter. I thought the winter was done, but no. But here it comes again.
And we'll fix them again and again.
Yeah. So I, 135 never got touched until 4:30, 4:05 in the morning. And that was one lane headed southbound. Okay? But Dunn Road took me 6 tries to get up Dunn Hill with my four-wheel drive pickup. Because there was so much snow in the road. I think in that contract, it says they're supposed to be out plowing with so much accumulation on the road, they're supposed to be fine.
That's supposed to be continuous, because
So they're not doing
I took the
it.
minor, I was sure I was thankful I had the four-wheel drive and the studded snow tires and the weight,
Right,
because the minor toll road hadn't been touched for, I would say, several hours, and I've
They had-
been stuck on that before.
because I was out all night, so I can,
Back down and
I can tell you that they left at 7. I think it was 7:30 when they parked the trucks.
Wow.
Cause I went up through, cause I got a few elderly people I keep open in case they, but when it done any good, we could have never got any ambulance or rescue vehicle to them in, so.
So would it be a good idea for Lorna to give them a call tomorrow and say, the
Yeah, we
last,
expect
the
a
last
roll.
storm wasn't so great?
Yeah.
Right.
And, yeah, if that happens, call me. I will call it right up.
Yeah.
No matter who is our contractor,
Yeah.
that's I mean.
I almost text you at
You-
2:00 in the morning.
Please do.
She would have been
Call
up.
Well, I
She's up.
You send emails, so.
I am up.
I know.
But I agree, I think doing something for them, but I would state, I would think probably doing something to the Sunset Road that they can reach by snowmobile would be better, because the whole reason that they are getting done plowing is that they're getting older and they want to be able to go snowmobiling if they want to.
Yeah, I don't care where, other than it should be a Belgrade business, and there aren't a lot of choices.
Right, and that's where I could see them snowmobiling into the Sunset.
Yeah.
Road.
Yep.
And
Yeah. So, why don't you make that as a motion, Melanie?
All right, I make a motion that the board, that the town of Belgrade get a gift certificate to the Sunset Grill in the amount of $250 to be presented to the Warren Brothers. For thanking them for their
Relation.
continuous years of service it is, but we can put that.
Yeah. Is there a second?
And take that money out of the select board fund.
Yeah.
But at that point, we're gonna wanna look, because now we'll have 350, 450, 550, 600 coming out of our
Yeah,
select board fund.
So, motion,
Yes.
seconded.
seconded. Okay. Any discussion?
Good question. You're doing one gift certificate to make them split it?
Well, they probably would go together,
They're
right?
together all the time anyway.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So you have to go together.
Yeah. Dan?
Yep.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so Lorna, if you would take care of that for us? Okay,
Maybe a thank you card or something.
yeah, just a nice, thank
They
you.
could just keep the card behind, in the cash register, behind the bar or
Yeah.
something, so that they don't have it with them when they go.
Oh.
Wanted to follow the road business stuff.
Yeah, right. If they find the road.
Condition, yeah.
If you plow those roads, we have a nice present for you. Anything else under other business? Okay, we'll move on to warrants then.
Carol, we have the, library lease they dropped on. That has to be signed,
I'm sorry?
the library lease. They dropped off in the folder, the manila folder,
Oh,
they brought that on.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, we did have the, library brought in their lease for us to sign. So it's a lease between the Friends of the Belgrade Lakes Public Library, of the Belgrade Public Library, a Maine nonprofit corporation having mailing address of Post Office Box 474, Belgrade, Maine. And the Town of Belgrade and Municipal Corporation having mailing address of 990 Augusta Road, Belgrade, Maine. And this is just the lease where will they lease it for $1? Is that where it is?
Yeah, per year.
$1 per year. So, they have brought that off and needing signatures, so if, we could have them, or I move, we approve the lease.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, Dan?
As long as nothing changed on the lease, so we haven't seen it, so.
They say it's the same as it was. Yes, Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I say yes, so we'll take care of getting this signed, and they just dropped that off today, so it's just easy to do that and clean that up. Okay, now we go to warrants. I move we approve BMV warrant number 35 in the amount of $6,803.56.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, 5 in favor. I move we approve payroll, warrant 36 in the amount of $24,325.47.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. The next one, I move we approve AP warrant number 37 in the amount of $659,742.16.
And second,
Okay.
it hurts.
Any discussion on the warrant?
Here.
Melanie?
Legal services, looks like we paid them $12.50 this time instead of $1100. I don't remember seeing anything when they were requesting an increase.
And they did increase, they talked about it last year, but we had already gotten too far into the year, so they put that increase into effect this year. I think it's $100.
Yeah, so we should, it's 150, but the board should be noticed if there's gonna be a change in that.
I thought that we were aware of that.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about going up to $12.50.
Via email, I think.
I don't know where, but I remember knowing it was going to change.
Well, I remember last year we were looking for $12.50, we talked them down to $1100.
What did we put in the budget? Did we put budget the?
We do
1250?
have enough to cover the $12.50.
I think we budgeted 1250.
Yeah, we did budget 1250.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anything else? I had a question, but I talked to one, I got an answer, so.
Not on this one, but just for people's awareness, there is a budget meeting for RSU tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, are
Tomorrow night.
you going? I was gonna try to go.
I was supposed to be in training in Gardner, but then it was canceled, so.
Right.
ah,
Would not surprise me if they don't cancel that,
Same.
the same, but
Yeah.
I talked to Sarah this afternoon and she said right now it's still on.
So maybe I can go.
Okay, all in favor, Dan? Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I vote yes, that's 5 in favor. I move we approve payroll warrant number 38 in the amount of $21,440.35. All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, 5 in favor. And the last one is I move we pay BMV warrant number 39 in the amount of $8,735.19.
Second.
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that gives us 5 yeses. I think that takes us through all the warrants. And if so, we then are to the town manager's report. Lorna.
Annual reviews have begun and should be wrapped up this month per our employee guidelines handbook. April 17 is a comprehensive plan meeting on natural resources that will be at 5:30 PM at the town office. It is important to invite residents with an interest or expertise in the different areas of the comprehensive plan as these meetings take place. We are interested in resident input, which is vital to the final plan that will be presented to both the Board of Select Persons and eventually the legislative body for approval. Scheduled a Zoom meeting to explore federal grant opportunities for the new fire station. The building committee and select board have been invited to attend. We did, that was not Zoom, she set up a Teams meeting, and I thought that went super well. It was Dan, Bruce, Tom, Carol, myself, and Corey.
Corey, yeah.
We found out that the fiscal year 25 application process will probably be opened up right away, like maybe this week,
And it's a very quick turnaround.
2 weeks, a 2-week turnaround. So
Yeah,
what
we
they
don't have
did,
much time to get paperwork.
but they gave us a fiscal year 24 application that we can start working on so that we're prepared when the portal opens. We can do that quick turnaround. Advantage I see for us, there were 2 different entities under the CDS grants that we could try to get funding under. I was thinking, I haven't heard from the committee yet, but I'm thinking 75%.
Yeah, that was their recommendation. That's-
Yeah, makes sense to
Is
me.
what we would request. We are not just Belgrade, we have agreements with other towns to cover. We also have the Travis Mills Foundation.
So we'll-
We have a couple of big employers here, which, a centrally located new fire station is very beneficial. We do have, quote, 3 fire stations, but we don't really. Because the Lakes Fire Station would be considered a fire station, but the other 2 are more like a garage which house,
which we don't own.
right? So we made that clarification to the 2 ladies, that were on the call with us. And I thought they felt that was significant.
Right.
So we should highlight some of those things for the application process, a PowerPoint presentation maybe, and
So they-
pictures.
Right, so they want a letter from the board, not each individual board member. A letter, from the board, and we're gonna get letters from like other businesses, Travis Mills Foundation, another one, Dr. Pay was another one that, I last night. So we're Dan's working on a list, Dan's gonna start talking to, leads of our entities to get some letters. That they'd like to see at least 5 letters. One of them being to the board select person.
Yeah, I happened to see Dan later on at the grill last night and, said the new fire station, another piece is we're on the quote, right side of the railroad tracks for Hammonds.
Right.
So that if something does happen, something happens to those 2 big ones, it's not only the damage to that plant, but it's all the people they employ and how that affects it and the ripple effect throughout the state. And Dan said, yeah, Mike would do a really good job putting that together. So I think that really, as they were talking, gives us more than like, yeah, it would be nice to have.
I think we all came away from the meeting very encouraged.
Mhm.
Dan, was speaking with another fire chief in another community. They did receive a CDS grant, so he was gonna work to get a copy of their grant application,
Mhm.
which would help us.
That was Clinton.
It was Clinton. And I was able to get one today, which I forwarded out,
Yep.
to everybody. So and it was also one that had been awarded a grant for fiscal year 24. So I think, looking at those, we can pick up on what was significant in them to make them stand out so they would get the award. So I think it will be super helpful to us. And then Bruce has called a meeting for the committee for the 10th,
Right.
at 6:30 here.
What are they looking for? Letter?
I think mostly they want to know why.
Why and how it's gonna impact your
Right.
taxes,
Right.
tax base.
Well, I'm talking about from the year.
From the select board.
From the select board, how-
I'm talking about the other people.
Oh.
So I'm thinking, give me a template,
Mhm.
I can have my aide work on it and put it on
Oh,
my state
that's
letterhead
great.
as a representative. At least
Yeah.
that's another letter.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good idea.
that is a
I'll
good
think
idea.
about it. Well, actually, tomorrow morning, are you available date so we can meet here to make the call to
I
Sharon?
won't be here.
You won't be here? Oh, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah, I actually have doctors at 9:15.
So do you have a problem that Dan and I meet and call Sheridan in the morning and get contracts emailed over so you can start sending them?
Not
to
at
the
all.
attorney?
Not at all, we have to keep things moving.
Yeah.
Because we're in a really
Okay.
short
Okay, so
window.
we're gonna meet, Dan and I meet tomorrow and get it going.
Ed might be here,
Okay,
cleaning and whatever.
we'll just do it at Dan's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, very encouraging, I think.
Excellent.
I think we were all encouraged. E911 signs, sweeping intersections and roadside chipping will be taking place over the next few weeks. Per our road commissioner, Jason Stevens. In addition, we have pricing for culverts and salt from Katie Cog. Jason is putting together a list, for culvert purchases. We did that this week.
You may want to hold off on sweeping for a little bit.
Yeah.
What are the E911 signs? Is that just making sure that every road has? a
Right,
sign
yes,
at the end?
yes, so if something's down, if
If
something's
someone-
down, it's, you're replacing it.
Yeah, and it's on the town to replace it. 'Cause I had somebody,
Yes.
their road sign was taken away.
Yes, yeah, just let
Pretty
Jason
sure the
know.
town
Yep,
does.
yep.
So,
The culverts, we did figure out the pricing for what he'll need. And that's just under 20,000. So that will come to the board for approval before, we do that purchase. Salt, I submitted the bid to the state, but their deadline is not until the 26th, it's a Friday. So that's like a whole month away, and I've already got the one for Katie Cog, which is less than what we paid last year per ton.
did we reach out to Morton Salt and RSU 18?
RSU 18 for salt.
Yeah, we've gone in with them. before.
RSU 18 sent out their fuel bids, but they didn't say anything about salt. Just Katie Cog and the state. I've never seen anything for the RSU for
I
salt.
was thinking we had,
Um,
no, you're right, it is the fuel just for that. What about Morton?
Most RSU 18.
well,
it's gonna be-
the state and Katie Cog will get bids from everybody. And then they'll show you who the lowest is. Morton wasn't the lowest one for Katie Cog, it was the other company. Is it New England?
Yeah.
New England salt?
So,
Yeah, I think it was 75 something a ton. I think last year we paid 77 or 79 a ton. So it's a little bit less. And then I did submit for fuel to RSU 18. I also have pricing from Augusta Fuel. They've guaranteed it for a certain amount of time, but I told them I can't bring anything to you for decision making until I have something from RSU 18. But, so we'll have all of that within the next meeting or two, I think. I hope.
That's another question. You're over there more than I am. How has DOT been keeping the area clean around the DOT garage? They weren't out there quite as much this year.
so this fall, they were good. It's in the fall where I noticed the issues and they were excellent this fall.
I was over there today. It didn't look too bad. Went into the, sand shed, also went into the cemetery. Kevin showed me what he was working on with regard to, getting the list of folks into Sims, taking pictures, entering data, that sort of thing. And the issues that he's been running into, which is
Multiple.
yes, we'll just leave it at that. But it's really interesting to see. You can't really use the tangible documents here because many of them are absolutely incorrect. So I appreciate that he's going out physically, eyes on, and recording this data, so it'll be accurate for everyone.
One other thing, after this next snowstorm, when things dry out, my suggestion is you guys make a contact to DOT, because that bog is flooded multiple times this winter. And make a request that they retest that well before we go too far.
It's a good idea.
I can send something over to Dwayne.
Yeah, I mean, that bog has been right up to the DOT.
Yeah.
Almost going over, so.
Yeah. Extraordinary circumstances.
Right, so.
It's worth.
That may keep.
Right,
coming, right?
so, you can imagine all the rain we got, any salt that got spilled at both places, washing that bog runs around to the backside of that well, so. Just something to keep in back, back pocket, so.
We already spoke about this earlier. Our legal counsel reviewed both ordinances, made recommendations, so you should have a final, the 16th when you keep the public hearing. We have 10 to 12 sets of Douglas voting booths that we would like to give away to any municipality in need with board approval. They're larger, cumbersome, heavy, difficult to set up. And we've already replaced them with lightweight, easy to use booths. Many municipalities are listing them out there. If there's another town that can't afford to buy booths, or they just want to upgrade something newer, even though it's not ideal, maybe, just to give them one, I can't really sell them. But if the board would be okay with that, Mary will put them up.
Yeah, good.
Do we need a motion just for the record?
Yes.
All right, I move that we
Town property.
authorize, the town to, give away the Douglas voting booths to any municipality in need.
Second.
Second. Dan, all in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Done.
Thank you. Hans and I both attended, interesting, training. He got continuing ed credits for, code enforcement. I got them for health officer. It was on mold and air quality. I know, it was interesting. Current tree services contract ends June 30, so we'll have an RFP for you to review and consider at an upcoming meeting. State retirement rep Deanna Doyle was here last week. She gave 2 presentations to employees on the new plan. The hearings for Kennebec County budget were held. And I gave you a breakdown of what the increase looks like for us. It's a 45.2% increase.
This is huge.
From an annual cost of $846,767 to $1,229,303. But the budget did not pass, so they're meeting April 9, the budget committee, to determine the expense.
Now, a public meeting.
It is.
A lot of the,
I'll get
a lot of the
that.
increases
Nick will
are-
have that information.
Okay, a lot of the increases are county here because the state's put unfunded mandates on, especially for providing medication for inmates to combat the, withdrawals and everything else, the drugs. I'm not-
The other state blowing the $345 million.
They do that with school systems too. The mandates, but they're unfunded and we wonder why school budgets keep increasing. It's the same thing. It's unfunded mandates. It's unfortunate.
Can I ask you one more quick question, Lorna?
Yes.
How many employees signed up for May 1st?
I only know of one at this point who signed up for this, was doing this payroll period. I have not heard of anybody else yet. Nick is out this week. Yeah. And we've used, I have a typo, maybe on the one she'd have. We've used $11,065.18 out of the ARPA funds for the comp plan, and working with Katie Cobb. The total amount allocated was 28,000. And not 428. Same number. I gave you the 4 instead of the dollar sign, I think.
Okay. All right,
What's happening with the tree over the 35 at any?
I got a hold of Peter Coughlin, and he sent it right over to one of his guys. I think his first name was Solly, so he scheduled a team to go. He does not know when that will be, but he has contacted his team to schedule them to go take care.
While they're out there driving down that road, maybe the state can get the branch down that's hanging.
By the Yorks.
Yeah, that one, the branch hanging in the middle.
Every time I drive by.
I'm waiting for this thing to come down, it's laying on somebody's car.
Do you know the address? I can give them the number.
It's right, it's
Will you
almost
get
right in
it?
front of Kathy Wall's
Kathy Wall,
house, so I'll give it, look up the address.
yeah, or Barbara Yorks.
Yeah.
You look at Barbara Yorks, that's.
Yeah, it's just, I'm waiting for the thing to bring that down and have it hit a car or something and cause an accident because.
So it's a branch, is it on the line? No.
I'm in a tree.
Oh, in a tree.
Yeah,
Yes,
probably 10 or 12 foot long branch, it's got a Y in it, Y came down, with another branch, it's just dangling.
It may come down tomorrow night.
It could, but it's been there for months, right?
They come down in the last few, it's probably not.
We're gonna have a little heavy.
We are supposed to have some high winds, I think.
Yeah.
And heavy snow.
And not a good.
Either way, if it's still there, maybe they can get that down.
Okay, I'll make a note, I'll email over to
okay.
Peter.
Is there anything else to bring before the board?
Only one thing, I'm gonna bring the Sexton thing officially to the select board.
I think we need to do that for next, maybe next meeting. Would make sense that people can be here. Yeah,
Yeah, that, I wanted that to be, you know, I just need
Yeah.
enough notice to notify
Yeah.
people that want to be involved in.
so let's make sure we can get it on the next meeting, but that was my plan.
So I know way in advance, so I can, so
Mhm.
people, because other people have other meetings and.
Yeah. Anything else? I move we adjourn at 9:00.
Second.
Okay, now we just have to sign our life away. Oh, all in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Bella?
Yes.
Carol? Peter, do you agree we should adjourn?
Yes.
All 5 in favor?
They're all looking at that well.
What?
I'll look at that well tomorrow and make that.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were, but,